This is really good, guys. Tasting it for the first time. Morning, guys. Laura here from Hedgehog Homestead. Today, I am starting a new series about learning how to bake with einkorn, whole wheat einkorn, not just. There's so many recipes for all-purpose einkorn. Jovial has started that and put that out there because they make an all-purpose einkorn, which is easier to cook with. When you cook with the all-purpose flour, what you lose is the wheat germ, all the goodness in your wheat germ. You lose those proteins, those strong minerals, lose your magnesium, your iron, your energy, immunity, vitamin B, and many, many more. So learning to cook with so you lose all those benefits when you're cooking with the all-purpose flour. So if you want to learn to cook from the whole wheat, this is and we're gonna start slow. We're gonna start with quick breads. And the first one we're gonna do is like a cinnamon bread muffins. And I changed up the recipe a little bit. I only changed the things that matter, or that don't matter. I changed 1 cup whole grain einkorn flour, freshly milled. 1/2 teaspoon baking soda and 1 teaspoon baking powder. One-4 teaspoon salt. I'm doing Redmond's real salt here. So the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I put a whole teaspoon of cinnamon. Didn't seem to affect the recipe, but one of the guidance of this book that I'm following, it says don't mess with the recipes when you're learning how to do them. But I've been baking for 7 years, sourdough bread, and so I kind of know what's important to not fudge on. So I did a couple things like this. I think I did add a little more vanilla than they recommended too. So you want to mix that together, and then we're going to set that aside. Now we're going to put in a large egg. This is an egg from my ducks. Please always use room temperature eggs for baking. If you don't have room temperature eggs, set one out for the morning before you start baking. 1/4 tablespoon of applesauce. Matzo, this is unsugared or just plain applesauce. 1/4 cup of milk. 1/4 cup of honey or maple syrup. 1/4 cup of butter, unsalted, and melted and then cooled. While that's going, I'm going to put in my other ingredients. I'm doing a tablespoon of vanilla. It asks for 1/2 tablespoon in this recipe. There's my butter. It's cooled down. So 1/4 cup cooled butter. Now this recipe calls for a small apple to be cut up and put inside, and this is where you would add it. You would add it to the wet ingredients. I'm changing things up a little bit. I'm adding butterscotch chips, as you saw me pour that. I'm going to mix this all together really well, and then we're going to add our wet and dry ingredients in together. You always put the wet into the dry, and then mix that, and then we'll add our chips. There's our dry ingredients, what goes inside. Get all that goodness out of there. Because remember, there is no water in this recipe at all. It's just the wet ingredients that is in this recipe. And then you want to mix that together very well. I'm using my French whisk to do that. One thing I noticed as I was stirring this together, you can see the einkorn flour absorbing the water. After we get this all together, we're going to set it aside for 20 minutes. And I think I didn't do exactly 20 minutes. I was a bad girl. And I probably should have, because maybe it would have risen a little better. So when I leave this recipe below for you guys, actually it's in a book of how to learn to fresh milled einkorn. And so I will leave this book recipe for you, and I will leave the instructions that I did. Okay, now put it aside and let it auto-lease for 20 minutes, or absorb all the water for 20 minutes. The recipe says it put 8 paper or grease your muffin tin. I put 9 in. You will see here that it did increase. It's nice and fluffy and airy. So it worked. Now we're going to add that to our cups. Now maybe if I did 8, they would have been a little higher in the cup too. I tried to, it's good to use like an ice cream scoop for this. I used just a ladle that was around the same size as an ice cream scoop, just to have some consistency. Bake for 20 to 22 minutes. There we go, all done. This is really good, guys. Tasting it for the first time. Really, really healthy with that einkorn, whole wheat flour. And it is sweet enough just with the honey, the applesauce, and the chips I put in there. If I made this again, I would probably put nuts in it. My husband would love that. I would love it. But try it out. Simple, easy recipe. Great for einkorn people that are just starting out with fresh milled einkorn. God bless. We'll see you guys next time here on Hedgehog Homestead. Bye.